So if you take that advice that invalidates whatever it was that you went through or tells you to ignore something, that's going to set you up for failure in the long run because you're not addressing the problem. Most mental health advice online is built for low stakes, but really high stakes professionals do not live in those low stakes. So the advice sounds really vague. It sounds soft. It fails the moment you actually need it. Then you assume the problem is you, but really it's not. It's the advice that you might be getting. So in this video, I'll explain why generic mental health advice fails high-risk professionals, what you actually need instead, and a simple filter to tell the good guidance from content that just really kind of sounds nice. Dr. Greg here, and I am going to be telling you why most mental health advice is useless for high-risk jobs. So let's set the frame. If advice doesn't match your consequence level, it's going to collapse under pressure. So why is it that this messaging really doesn't land? Well, because popular advice when it comes to mental health tips is just out there to get the clicks. They just want the engagement. I can say this crazy thing or maybe something that sounds nice and it's going to really help you, but at the end of the day, it's really not going to lead to any kind of lasting change because its foundation is shaky. As an example, one of the things that I've heard in the past is, well, you just need to think more positively. Just look at that glass as half full and you will live a better life. Now, how well do you think that works? Because in my experience, when I've done it, it hasn't worked at all. And I suspect that when you've done it, it probably hasn't worked either. And the reason this stuff doesn't really work is because it's all based in how people tend to think. If you've ever had an experience where somebody invalidated you or told you to just rub some dirt on it, you'll be fine after you got a small injury. Or maybe you're just overthinking it. Just don't worry about that thing. It's not gonna go away. The brain is going to think about whatever the incident is. It's going to replay it over and over and over again, especially if it's something that's charged with some heavy emotion. The number that tends to come back the most is we have about 10,000 thoughts a day. So if you take that advice that invalidates whatever it was that you went through or tells you to ignore something, that's going to set you up for failure in the long run because you're not addressing the problem. So what is it that people who are high performers actually need? Well, they need something that is going to be sustainable, that's going to actually work in the long run, and that's backed by some kind of evidence. What does that look like? Well, something that has a good theory behind it. So something that's based in a topic or a flavor of psychology or mental health that has been established. As an example, I have heard of what's called primal screaming therapy, where you just place yourself in a bag and you scream as loud as you can. And that's supposed to, I don't know, help you feel good. Maybe it helps in the moment, but it certainly doesn't help with any kind of long-standing issue. I highly doubt there's any science behind that, so maybe you want to skip something on that front. But if you have something that's, say, based in mindfulness, maybe something based in meditation, maybe something based on what we call behavioral activation, which is doing the thing to feel better, even if you don't want to do it, you're probably going to be set up for success rather than failure. And then you need something that actually has actionable steps to it. What is the process? I should be able to see step 1, step 2, step 3. And once I accomplish those 3 steps, I know that I'm going to get some kind of meaningful, lasting result. And step 3 would be something that is going to actually benefit you in the long run. Because here's the thing, we have a toolbox full of all sorts of different tools, right? But not everything is a nail, so we're not going to use the hammer for everything. There's a lot of different skills out there that you can use, but you need to make sure that you're selecting the right skill for the right problem that you have. So why is it that this stuff hasn't really resonated with you? Promises quick results, and all you got to do is click that affiliate link or sign up for this mailing list or do that thing really fast. Here's the thing, you probably have done that and maybe it hasn't worked out the way that you wanted. Maybe the results that you were promised didn't materialize, and so of course you start to think, well, I'm the reason. Clearly, Mr. Influencer or Miss Influencer has something that I don't and it's my fault. But the truth is this, we live in a day and age where everything is so instant. You can get anything in front of your eyeballs on your screen so fast that we've come to kind of expect those sorts of changes in ourselves too. And just because someone is pushing, you must do this right now, hurry up, buy this, you've got to change your life, it doesn't mean that the system is going to work. Now, if it does, great. I'm happy that that system works for you. But for most people, it's not going to give them the lasting change that they want. So what is? Beyond the 3 things that I mentioned earlier, one thing that I would encourage you to start thinking about is how you can start to be a little bit more patient with yourself. Change isn't going to happen super fast. Sometimes with little things, sure, it can. But when it comes to larger, mental changes, you're not going to turn that thing around in the span of 30 seconds. And it's certainly not going to happen in the span of a 3-step system that Joe Schmo is selling that you can complete in a day. I'm reminded, which the later seasons, by the way, I thought were trash, but I'm reminded of the show Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. And at one point she gets diagnosed with, spoilers, borderline personality disorder. And she goes to her therapist gives her books, and she, within the span of a week, completes all of the books, reads all the chapters, does all the worksheets, and goes, okay, I'm done, now what? You're not changing a lifelong personality disorder in the span of a week just by doing all the books. And the same is true for you. When it comes to actually implementing either a self-help skill, coping skill, or even doing therapy, it's not going to change everything overnight. You need to give it some time to grow. You can't just plant a seed and have it be a tree the next day. So if someone is promising you that kind of thing, I would immediately go into that with some skepticism. And maybe look for someone who's actually trying to tell you the truth by giving you simple, honest answers that are going to get you results that you want, as long as you give it time and work the steps. So I've given you a way to try and filter through this. Of course, something that has a good foundation, has actionable steps, and then of course it's a tool that actually applies to the situation at hand. There's another framework that you can use too, which I absolutely adore, which ties into what I'm saying. It's called SMART goals. It's an acronym, stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timed. So when we think about what the goal is that someone is trying to help you accomplish with their get better fast system, is the goal specific in that it's not some broad goal like just think more positively? Can I measure it? Because how can I say a goal's been accomplished if there's no way to actually measure it? Is it achievable? It'd be great if we could say to ourselves, hey, guess what? I'm gonna wake up tomorrow a billionaire, go to sleep, and then it just happens. Certainly happened with the last Powerball for somebody, but for most of us, that's not really an achievable goal. So is the goal here for self-help actually something that can be accomplished, which ties into realistic? Is this something that can be realized? Oh, and I also want to say with the achievable part, it's actually something that makes sense too. So again, going back to this idea of feeling better. What does that ultimately mean? How do I make that happen? How can I operationalize this a little bit more? Lastly, timed, because goals ultimately have an end date, and that expiration date needs to be pretty clear. Can I accomplish this by doing the steps 1, 2, 3 over the course of the next month? How's that going to look for me? As an example, I have a guided meditations podcast, Meditations by Gregory T. Oberg. There are a number of meditations on there for free that if you listen to them for 30 days, you are going to notice a change in yourself, in how you start to think about the world. I set those up specifically under that SMART goal framework, as well as the framework that I mentioned earlier. The good foundation, having certain steps to it, specific steps to it, and then making sure it's the right tool for the job, the right affirmations for you, depending on what's going on in your life. So if you want to try that out, by all means, go check out my podcast. There's a ton of great affirmations on there. Also notice how I'm not trying to push and shove this down your throat. So guess what? You can already start to think, maybe this guy knows a little bit what he's talking about, rather than feeling pressure to buy the thing now and then feel shame later if it doesn't work out the way that it's pitched to you. High-risk professionals do not need softer messaging. They just need more accurate tools. If the advice can't be done in 5 minutes, it's probably not going to survive your schedule. If it doesn't explain the mechanism, you won't trust it. If it doesn't reduce risk at home and at work, then it's not real guidance. So use the filter. Does it have a great foundation? Does it have actionable steps that you can take? And is it the right tool for the job? And if you want help building a system that fits your job, your nervous system, and your household, that is exactly what I do with high-risk professionals. I'm happy to help customize all of this with you in a more formalized therapy setting. Go check out my practice, Royal Oasis Psychotherapy Institute, royaloasispi.com. Book a session with me today.